excuse me, we have a very special guest today in Rob Lipsett, YouTuber, influencer, podcaster, coach as well, of course, and more specifically, an owner of a pancake company as well. How are you, buddy?
That's the coolest one. You know, when I'm in like, I remember I was in like Ibiza last year or something, and you're in a group setting, you know, down by the pool, you're meeting new people. And, you know, you go around, you're introducing yourself, and everyone's like, oh, what do you do? Oh, you know, I work in sales. Oh, I work in marketing.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm PT. I'm like, which one do I choose? I'm definitely going to introduce myself as pancake owner.
yeah,
So I always think that's the funniest sounding one, even though that's not my main, not even close my main job, my main source of income, which is
yeah,
coaching. I always just say that one, you know,
yeah,
just because it sounds kind of like, you know, Willy Wonka off the
yeah,
pancake world. So I'm glad that you got that in there, Josh.
yeah.
And for anyone that doesn't know, me and Josh have known each other since we were honestly 12 years old. Like a lot of
Mm,
people probably don't know that. So I'm
yeah.
really happy to be back on.
100%, and did a little stint in Terranure, played a bit of rugby together as well
Yeah,
for a
yeah,
year or so. You're not
exactly. Yeah.
you're not still playing anymore, are you?
No, you know what? I am starting again.
Are you?
There's a seventh now. I'm not starting,
Huge.
but
Yeah, yeah.
there's a sevens tournament in Gibraltar, just around
Wow.
an hour away from me. And someone he's actually like he's a fitness rugby YouTuber. So he does like you know, rugby vlogs and all.
Hmm.
And he was like, hey, I'm entering a team in this. We get you involved? And I'm like, I can't say
Yeah.
no to that. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna be
that sounds great.
making the big return.
Is it like a
It's
is it
like
like a
this.
tip or a tackle or an all, or what is it?
I think it's full blown sevens.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So that's at like the end of this month. It's just like, you know, Gibraltar is like an hour away from Marbella, if even. So I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, it would be rude not to. It's meant to be good fun as well.
Yeah, 100%. Sevens is great crack as well. I just honestly I can't think about getting tackled again. I
I
just
know.
feel I would literally break into my knees and my ankles already made of glass. I think I'd literally just go clip into two.
Yeah, I'm like, and if that happens, well, then that's the fitness career over. So this
Yeah,
better
yeah.
be worth it.
Yeah, just hang out on the wing and just be
Yeah,
like
yeah, just
people.
look good.
Yeah, exactly. That's all you need. Some nice kit and some nice gear, nice shiny pair of boots, bit of
Yeah.
sun. That's all that you need as well. So obviously we know each other from many years ago, but yourself, like Joe Delaney, Christian Guzman, and stuff like that as well, was something that, you know, I watched, my brother watched, you know, everyone watched back in the day to really get a good understanding of, you know, all the basics, you know, all the basics around training, nutrition, how splits work, all that kind of stuff. And it's funny to think of. I was thinking back on when I started watching you and doing all that kind of stuff as well. And the basics still work. All my check-ins this morning would have probably touched on all the points that you were talking about, what, 11 years ago or so, isn't it?
Yeah, you know what? So there's been a funny like wave. Okay, so 20 years
Agreed.
ago, the information was so bad. Like it was all magazines and like simplyshredded.com,
Yeah.
cuttingjack.com was terrible. And this is like, whereas like, you know, the evidence-based information was still out there, but it was
Mhm.
really hard to find. And
Yeah.
then YouTube actually like brought guys like Alan Aragon, Brad Schoenfeld,
Mhm.
all these actual researchers and scientists to the forefront to make that information readily available. And then YouTubers like me, Christian and all would read that, and then we'd kind of make it easy to consume in the
Yes.
form of
Nice.
vlogs and everything. And you know, the correct information is the correct information. That it's
Mhm.
there's the even when new research comes out, like there's nothing really groundbreaking. So
Mhm.
I think just in the last like 10 years, we've just really cracked the code in terms of what works and what doesn't work. And
Mhm.
I can't see it changing too much in the next 10 or 20 years. Maybe some crazy stuff with AI will come in
Yeah.
and change the
Yeah.
fitness industry. But yeah, for the last, you know, 10 years, thing that's what works, you know, and
Mhm.
the correct information is out there now.
Yeah, you know, speaking of AI this morning, I'll come back to that point in a second. All my check, do you ever use Loom for your check-ins, or do check-ins via Loom?
A little bit. I use a lot of just WhatsApp, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, Loom. I know what you're going to say. They now generate the captions
No,
and like the title and everything.
I couldn't, but no, the synopsis. I
What?
gave,
Oh yeah,
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 I know it was crazy. If I read a couple of them out to you, you'd be shocked. I'd give it like a 5-6 minute check or something like that, send it over, and then underneath the check-in, it's just like, "Hey Rob, how you getting on? Hope your weekend's gone well in Marbella. Glad to hear that the house is going well, and hopefully the
Oh
podcast." I was going
my
like, Oh my God.
Weird.
Everything's written out. I was like going, are they trying to squeeze me out of a job here? Am I the
Yeah.
middleman now
You
between
know
them?
what? So like now I'm not trying to claim I'm like this big AI genius, but so when I made my app game plan in
Yeah.
2018, so we weren't using AI, but we used like a formula or an algorithm.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
so basically the client would sign up, they would put in their every single detail, height, weight,
Yeah.
activity level, body fat percentage, male, female, all that good stuff. And then the software would give them a program and it would be very accurate. And then me and my coaching team would tweak it.
Yeah.
And so over since 2018, so that was my first kind of taste of a computer doing the work for me. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure if you can call that AI, but kind of, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then so over time, it's gotten even more accurate. And now I think it's going to get to the point where it's really accurate, but you just need to learn how to use it yourself. You know, like just what Loom is doing. So I think AI is going to be great for trainers. I think it's going to be great for the fitness industry, and I think it's going to be great for making people healthier and get results. So I'm not worried about, it's also going to be amazing for editing and making content. So if you've got a personal brand or you're thinking about starting a personal brand, it's more important than ever because, you know, it's going to be another at least 20 years until we can clone Rob Lipsett and Josh and, you know, put them on front of a camera. But, you know, we can do Drake lyrics now, but we can't do that.
It's mad. I think it's just mad. It's mad.
Yeah, it's crazy, but I think it's going to make our job easier and it's going to be good for this industry.
100%, man, 100%. And listen, give us a little bit of an update onto your prep. You know, Rob's obviously just finished his preps, 2 preps, finished off in the Irish show and did very, very well. But how did that all go? How are you feeling now after? How is the whole process as a whole?
Oh man, so just first time I've talked about it. Thank you for asking. I need to get it off my chest. But so
come on.
we had the first competition, which was in Benalmadena, which is about 40 minutes away. That was a warm-up show, did not go well, no placing. I was happy with my condition, but like the show was all in Spanish and they were kind of like, who the fuck is this guy? Yeah, they kind of didn't look twice at me. And so no placing in that. My posing sucked as well, you know, and your posing is like, it's like your marketing, your physique, you know, how good is your business if no one can, how good is your business if no one can see it? How good is your physique if no one can see it properly? So I used to think posing was kind of whack, and I still do. I'm like, we have to learn all. It's like ballet. I'm like, this is kind of lame. Why do we have to learn all this? But then, you know, I heard that analogy, and I was like, okay, it makes sense. So I worked. I got 3 pounds lighter, which is
much tighter as well.
Which is a lot when you hold up those little jelly rolls. Think of 3 of them on top of a shredded physique. So that's quite a lot.
Yeah.
And then it came in much more conditioned, better at posing, and got a placing. But so to talk about the kind of mentality around dieting, one of the most difficult parts of the whole prep was when I did shitty in that Benalmadena show. I had like, you know, went out for dinner, you know, had like a big meal. Getting back on prep afterwards, I was like fucking lost. You know, I'm fat as shit today. I just want to give up. Not doing it. The next show's in 20 days. I'm gonna suck again.
Yeah.
And she was like, Rob, just go to the gym now and just get back on, you know, your calories and your macros.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, you know, you can only do so much damage in a day. Turn to normal, like stage weight 4 or 5 days later. And then I was like, all right, game on. Let's push it 2 or 3 pounds more. Came in really conditioned for the Ireland show and did great in that. And then, so now that is not even a month ago, actually, just looking at the date now. So that's maybe like, I'm like 3 weeks post show.
Yep.
And I've maintained it very well, especially the first 2 weeks. Yep. I only went 3 pounds above stage weight. Last weekend, I had a huge event on in Marbella, you know, so I had meals out. I'm going to pull it in a little bit this week. But the first 2 weeks, really proud. I pretty much didn't even celebrate. Like, you know, I went out for Nando's and that was it. Because in the past, especially when I was quite young, I would finish a dieting phase or I would compete and had the completely wrong mentality. I had the all or nothing mentality, and I'd rebound so badly. And it's just so bad for your mind to see your physique change that much overnight, even though you probably still look great. You probably still look absolutely fine. It's just in your mind that, you know, seeing these drastic changes aren't good. So I learned a lot from that, from my, you know, years of dieting and competing, and yeah, learn from my mistakes. But yeah, so that's where we're currently at. Looking good, feeling good, about 3 weeks post show.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, no, you looked unbelievable, especially in that second show, like really tight, hard, full. It was actually a really, really good package, I thought, as
Thank
well.
you. Yeah,
Great analogy.
The other guys were fucking insane. Like, I'm
Were
not
they?
even
Yeah.
angry about the placing. Like, apparently was very close between myself and second, but
Nice.
first place, I'm like, he deserved it. He was some young fella, and like he was just crazy V shape and everything. So yeah, I mean, I'm never going to be a sore loser, you know.
Yeah, yeah. It was a PCA one, wasn't it?
Yeah, PCA, yeah, which is a really good federation. Like, it's like, you know, there's really good videographers. They're marketing the stage. I think their motto is like the most beautiful stage in bodybuilding. I think it looks really good because, you know, there's some shows and there's like a million sponsors behind on the stage behind you. It kind of looks like graffiti. I think the PCA. So man, I'm delighted I did it. There's nothing that'll boost your confidence more than stepping on stage, oiling yourself up, and you know, flexing in front of a huge crowd.
Yeah.
So it's a big rush. And like, I've done a lot of things in life. You know, I've traveled the world. I've stayed in some of the best locations. I've gone artist pass at some of the biggest festivals in the world. I've gone private jets. I'm like, this is the shit. I'm like, this is the real rush, because you can just pay to go on all those things, or you just maybe know someone and they'll sort you out. This doesn't matter who you know, doesn't matter how much you pay. If you don't put in 12 weeks of hard fucking work, you're not allowed up on that stage. You don't deserve to be up on that stage. So it's one of the biggest highs I've ever kind of done in my life.
Yeah, amazing, man. I'm still yet to do it. We're trying to find the time to actually be able to prep at weddings and travel. The travel back home and all this kind of stuff is difficult, but
weddings are killer. Like, they're so hard. They're like a full week, and there's so many because we're at that age now. We're like,
I know.
Get married. We got to get our act together.
Yeah,
but,
no, I have mine. I have my own one next year, and that was when we were kind of going to prep. I was going to prep through it. And then I was like, no, that's of course not going to happen. And then this one, we have 3 weddings. We're back in August for 3 weddings. It's like, there's just so many bloody weddings. It's insane.
Yeah, there's so many. Like, you know, I can't make it to them all either. But I've got, obviously, so I hate saying no, but sometimes like just the dates don't work. I've got like, that's one of the reasons I'm going home to Ireland in August, is one of my best mates' weddings. So
lovely, man.
There's so many, and they're so not macro friendly.
No.
Yes,
not at all.
A free bar and like a 5-course meal.
Crazy. I think the one thing that you said there, which is really nice, was about stepping on stage. Like you can't pay someone for a physique. You can't cheat a physique. And I think it's one of the only, I always think about this, one of the only things in life that you can't cheat. You can't cut a corner. If you cut corners, if you don't take your diet seriously, if you don't train the way you need to, if you don't diet long enough, you are going to get found out on stage. It's one of that kind of almost, I'm sure that's what got you back on your diet when you had that day off after Spain. It was like, I'm not standing on that stage, not happy with that physique. I'm sure that gave you a little bit of drive, did it?
Yeah. And I actually think like there's nothing comparable in the world in terms of your body, you know. It's so important and so hard to attain. And again, you just can't pay for it. You know, like or else there would be like Elon Musk would be rich. He would be absolutely like fuck, like a Abercrombie model. You know, there's no amount of money in the world that can pay. Even there's not even anything like, if a drug doesn't exist where you can be like, I'll give you $1 billion and I'll take it and it'll just transform me overnight. There's not even any drugs you can take that can do it. There's nothing. So I just think having a good physique is invaluable. But the time after the first show, it was tough to get back on it. But yeah, I'm definitely glad I did.
And people always love to know, like, figures and all that kind of stuff. What was calories at? What was your cardio at leading up into that second show? People love that stuff, man.
I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you, right?
Go
And,
on.
I'm actually like, I'm apprehensive to put this on my own channel,
Yeah.
So
Just put it in mind, then. It's all good.
you're getting the behind the scenes. So my calories and cardio and train. Well, training was just the usual legs, push,
Yeah.
pull split that I follow for the most
Mhm.
part. Lift as heavy as possible.
Mhm.
No high reps to tone bullshit over
Nice.
here.
Good
I
man.
had my numbers at the start of prep, and that I just tried, like, for example, dumbbell press was a big move in mine, squats and leg press. I just have my compound lifts that I'm like, I'm going to try keep these numbers.
Them, yeah.
So that was weight training. And then, of course, cardio and calories, they started all right. Yeah, started not too bad. They started at about 2,500 calories per day, which is fine. It's what I'm now on currently.
Yeah, nice.
Start at 2,500. The next step was 2,200 calories, and that's where I spent the majority of the 12 weeks, which is like, solid deficit for me. I can get down to like 10% eating that. And then, so the last like 4 weeks, we hit the 2,000 calorie mark. And then for the last like 2-3 weeks, the last 2 weeks, and the leading up to it, it was like a depletion phase, and it was so short, but it was like 1,600.
Yeah, shit, man.
Like a tiny woman.
Oh, stuff.
And then for cardio, it started off just 3 days a week, 30-minute list sessions. And then towards the end, it was daily list sessions, 30 minutes.
50 or something. It was at 30 minutes. Yeah. I thought you were doing.
Oh, sorry. No, 45. Sorry. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
nice.
it was just podcast in and just zone out and get it done. And so it was really fine up until just those last 2 weeks of each show, the depletion phase. That's when I felt hollow.
Yeah, hollow is a great term.
Oh,
empty.
I was just a hollow log, empty. And like I would go in and just the weight sessions were just so shit. Like they were just like, I'd lose interest in them because I wasn't really hitting the best numbers. And you're just a hollow shell of a human being. But it was just that depletion phase. Like even when I was on 2,000 calories, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. 2,000 is, I found 2,000 tough. Like mine started at 3,000. I lost like 10 kilos off 3,000.
Nice.
This is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then just brick wall, drop, brick wall, drop, brick. I was like, shit. We went all the way down to like around 2,000. I was bollocks by the end of that, man. I was doing 2 cardios a week.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
You know what, right? It's kind of good to talk about this, especially for guys to hear that like they'll see like these shredded physiques on Instagram and everything, and they'll like, I think some people lie about their numbers as well. They're like, oh, I can cut down on 4,000 calories because I'm such a beast. And it's like, no, you're not eating that. And I've been around guys who like claim they cut down that much, and like I've spent, maybe we're at a fitness expo or something, and I've spent the whole weekend with them. They eat fuck all. Like they eat fucking nothing. So it's like, that's one thing. People, they try to make it out as if they can do it easily, and these people, they don't. It's hard. Like, to get a really good physique, to get a lean physique is very difficult.
You're going to have to go past a point where it's actually comfortable.
Yeah, that's so it. Because when you think about it, it's like, well, you would just be at that point if it wasn't, if it was comfortable. You know what I mean? So
all year you'd be everyone be unbelievable shape. It's like running a kind of a horse race, and those last 4 or 5 hurdles, that's where you cross from like good to great shape. And that's where most people fall down on. But it's really hard when the horse is fatigued at the very, very end. Trying to get over those last hurdles is the hardest ones. And the one that they always fall on is the bloody last one. It just shows that like it is much harder to get into like good like get into good shape is quite easy. Get into
I'll agree with that.
harder. And get into like disgraceful shape is incredibly hard. Like incredibly.
Disgraceful. We're coming out with some great words on this podcast, but
It's an education.
hollow and disgraceful.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, and that's, I don't recommend getting to the disgraceful point. Like for anyone listening to this, like, you know, find that point that you can sustain, and that it's like, of course you have to make an effort, but like it shouldn't consume your entire life.
Yeah, yeah, true point. And in terms of the approach to dieting, so you touched on it a little bit there. Do you find that that slightly higher cardio bout works for you with more more calories? I know you weren't on much more or on too heavy calories, but rather than pulling you down to 1700 and only having you on 2 cardios, do you just prefer that method? Do you find it works best for you? How have you felt that across your coaching and lifting journey?
Yeah, I actually think the cardio is like more so for general fitness and health. I think and this sounds I think I just look a little bit fitter, and I feel a bit better. My digestion gets better. Like if I don't get in like 10,000 steps a day, if not, to be honest, I feel better even when I get in 12,000 steps a day. You know, my digestion isn't good. I feel sluggish. I look more watery. So the cardio was just kind of for those reasons, you know. I don't think I burnt much calories in those sessions. I was fucking dying towards the end. Hold on to the things.
Dear Lord.
More so just for general fitness, I think. That was why I kept that in. And then in terms of the diet I actually followed If It Fits Your Macros, flexible dieting until the very end. Like, you know, obviously only so flexible you can be when you're like 1800. So that was mainly just like vegetables and lean proteins. But before that, like even on 2000, I'd be eating protein pancakes, fuel cakes. I'd be eating like big oat bowls. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'd be oat bowls. I'd be eating chicken wraps. Like kind of big, like delicious omelets. Bread, God forbid.
Oh, I love bread, man. It
was really, oh my God, bless bread. Oh, and all hail the mighty spud.
Yeah,
one of the most filling foods you can eat, a powerhouse food, but nothing was off limits until you know, right until the very end of prep.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, I think that's one thing that I think has been scrutinized. The IFYM approach to Fits Your Macros was great at the beginning, scrutinized in the middle, and now people are like, why the hell can't you, like, look at you got in hollow, disgraceful shape and through If It Fits Your Macros, like, it works.
That's so funny that you said there was like a bell curve.
Yeah.
Like there was a bell curve of people found out that, that mealtime doesn't really matter. And, you know, certain food sources doesn't really matter. And it's about total calories and total macros. And then people kind of went a little bit hipster and they're like, well, it's not sustainable to track everything. And it's like, true. And then people are coming back to it now, like, all right, look, let me eat a fucking wrap, please.
Yeah.
You know,
I think
and I think now it's at a sweet spot as well, where, you know, people are, again, I think the fitness scene is really good right now. Like in terms of information, people are at like a sweet spot where they'll like track the odd time where they know that, you know, macros and calories count, but they still have an enjoyable diet. And there's so many people putting up like amazing recipes now as well, that they're learning how to just, you can pretty much make any food you want. Yeah. Like nowadays, you know, like, and fit it into your diet. So I think it's at a really good place right now.
Yeah, I think that inverted U curve, or the U curve, is a really good thing, because what I actually was going to say was that you guys did a really good job, like you, Joe, Christian, Steve Cook and stuff, a really good job of just simplifying and showing like this is actually easy to make it, like to make it easier to make a positive change in your physique. And then we went into that kind of zone where it was like, let's try and create the biggest gizmos, reps and reserve, this about training and these styles and stuff. And now it's like, actually, we don't actually need that, lads. Let's just get, you know, let's get back to the basics. The basics bloody work. Yeah,
exactly. And like when I started out, I would make just sit down videos talking about, you know, all these basics and talking about that. And then you make a video on everything. So now you're like, all right, I'm just going to do vlogs, you know, I'm going to document what I'm up to. But you know what? No, they get so much more views and clicks that I'm like, well, if the information reaches more people in vlog format, well, then so be it, you know, because
Yeah.
some people they can't digest that heavy Jeff Nippard style
Yeah.
science, even though he's amazing at what he does.
Mm.
But some people just want to watch something a little bit more laid back and pick up a
Yeah.
few points on the way. So,
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like, oh, do I need to go back to these really informative videos? But then I'm like, no, I like vlogging, and they get a good feedback.
Yeah, speak client, not science. I think that's the key phrase, and just using it as easily digestible as you can. You do a really good job of that anyway, just trying to make it as easy to understand rather than talking about, glucose transport chains and this kind of stuff. Just talk about how it is, it's a piece of bread, like at the end of the day. And routine for you, do you find that, there's a slight, when you're in prep, I know from my last photo shoot that I did, that routine is just everything when you're in prep. You're in dieting, you're just zoned in, you're locked in, like you said, to your cardio. Do you find a difference between your round routine and prep, or do you find you carry that over quite well? Any advice on that?
I actually really, so this is my first time prepping in years, and I really, really enjoyed it. My routine was never better. Let's cancel out the last 2 weeks, okay? The depletion phase. Let's disregard them. That's when nothing was happening. That's when I was a dead man. But for the majority of it, it was actually really good. Like my sleep was good. I was going to bed and waking up at the same time every day. That made. Well, I actually think it all begins with sleep routine. By the way, I think like it's like everything. So then I would have like my morning workflow was really good. Obviously, training and nutrition were to the fucking rep, to the calorie. They were just perfect. That makes you feel proud. It gives you a spring in your step. Your physique looks great. That makes you record more content. It makes you more confident in meetings. Like if anyone is listening to this and they're like, not a fucking YouTuber, not a coach, well, having good physique is like it has the biggest carryover into everything in your life. I hate to sound vain, or I hate to sound like it's all about physical beauty. Tough hearing that. Sorry, buddy, but that's just how life works. Sorry to disappoint you. It just has such a carryover. So during prep, my routine was amazing. And so me and Linda went out after, we had like a date night the week after the show. And like, we were like hungover the next day. We ate loads and we were like, can we go back on prep?
True.
We were like, I want it back.
Yeah.
So, I'm actually like, I learned a lot, and I kind of missed it a little bit. And I think it's made me realize I kind of want to have a nice tame summer and, not travel too much, and just stay on top of, get back to a somewhat preppy routine, for lack of a better word,
Yeah, it's so key to have you around. Like I'm a huge advocate to it. I need it for my day to day, and that's why I find sometimes when I travel across here and like I'm gonna meet one of the lads for lunch and stuff, I'm just like, oh, this is so hard to try and manage work and stuff like that. But I think having, like, you don't have to have it like you had in prep year round, but having some sort of structure with your sleep and your wait times, your work blocks and stuff like that, I think is always really beneficial, isn't it?
Yeah, sleep is a huge one for me. Just kind of like it schedules your day by default. Like, if you you wake up and go to sleep at the same time every day, not only will you have a better sleep, your circadian rhythm improves, but you'll actually just be kind of more organized throughout the whole day. And one thing that I found makes a huge difference is like, so I'll go outside that door there, and I'd learn this from Andrew Huberman, do a little bit of sun gazing. I'll get some sunlight in my face and stare around the sun. I was doing it wrong. I was trying to stare directly at the sun. Barely. Like, that's how you go blind.
Visually.
Yes, I'll do that in the morning, which is I find really makes me sleepy at like 9 p.m. I'll be like dead. But just the one thing actually, the way we were talking about the very start of the podcast, but how we kind of like pretty much know everything in terms of training and nutrition. There's hardly any new groundbreaking information that comes out. I've actually learned a lot about sleep in the last 2 years. That's one thing that like I kind of forgot about, because we just think training and diet, like they're the two big things. But then there's the thing that encapsulated it all, which is sleep. And so, I think I might do like a sleep course if maybe Matthew Walker's got one or something, but that's something that I've probably learned the most about in the last 2 years. And because I'm a terrible sleeper, I'm really bad. Like I have so much energy. I'm like raring to go at the end of the day. And so it really requires me to make a conscious effort to get a good sleep in.
Yeah, 100%. Even from like a physique standpoint, like all the stuff about, the fat. Have you seen that sleep and fat loss study?
No, go on about it. I'm sure there's quite a
Unbelievable.
few, but go on. What's
Yeah,
this?
yeah. There's like one done, and they kind of researched what the difference would be like between, this 5.5 hour group of sleep and 8.5 hour group of sleep, and the amount of total fat loss from the 8.5 comparatively to the 5 was over double, but the lean mass loss in the 5.5 group was incredibly higher. Like, so
What?
it was mental, like mental, and then that, and
So
as well as,
fat and muscle.
no, it's crazy. Less fat, more, or sorry, losing less fat, more muscle if you sleep less as well. So I just bring, if I'm in a check-in and the client's like 5.5 hours, like, take a look, bud. You
Yeah,
gotta get to
go
bed
to
earlier.
bed. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, it's a big one. And in terms of like future plans for you now going forward, thinking about competition again down the line, what's the kind of the, I find that, do you find this as well, that after prep, after dieting phase, you've just gone all in for this one specific date, that it's a bit of like kind of lost puppy, like dog in the headlights kind of thing, going like, what do I do now? Like, why am I training? Why am I doing? Do you find that that's the case? And do you have any future plans going forward for your own physique?
Yeah, completely. So I've actually, this is the first weekend. Like I haven't been able to speak to camera all week. I've been so tired, like
Yeah.
wrecked. Okay, so I had the first show, then 2 weeks later, I traveled back to Ireland for the other show. Then the week I was filming an Alphalete documentary, and then the following week, just gone,
The
I
event.
had that huge Marbella entrepreneurial event, which is the first like event I've put on since like pre-COVID. And that went extremely better than expected, like better than expected. But now I'm just like, oh
Wow.
God, I need to just sleep, speak the devil.
Yeah.
I need to sleep, relax, and kind of just have like not something not to think about for a while, because like I was
True.
always had like I wasn't living presently at all the last 6 weeks. I was always thinking of the next thing, and this is terrible. I've like on my home screen I have a countdown timer of my next event. So it's like, you have 10 days until the show. You have 10 days until the event. You have 11 days until this. I'm like, for once, I'm going to shut that fucking timer off. I'm going to delete that app. So right now, for the next week or two, I'm going to go to the beach and eat ice cream and chill out. And then, I just want to maintain a good physique that I'm happy with over summer and relax. So at the moment, I'm no plans to do anything drastic, but I think there's also good times to like dip back down into that leanness. I think post summer is a good one, and you'll see spikes in clients, in sales and everything. I think post summer is a good one. January is obviously like, and February are kind of like the biggest spikes, and then just pre-summer as well, and so they're the type there to so they're the kind of 3 times of the year where I'll dial things back in.
Yeah, nice. And that kind of segues into the nice new or the nice, excuse me, that segues into the next not nice part of this podcast as well, is going to be pretty much the title. I'm sure we'll kind of give this away, but it's going to be, keeping in good shape year round. And if there's one person on the planet who does it better than anyone, it's Mr. Rob Lipsett for sure. So I'd love you to kind of like I think we discussed it there a second ago, but like, define being in shape year round. Like, what does that look like to you? Is it being like shredded, like completely abs popping out of your forehead, shredded, or like, what does that look like for you, keeping in shape year round?
Well, first you got to find really good lighting and a good Instagram. So
good camera.
that's the thing. Yeah. But so I think for me, it'll look different on everyone, but I think having a lean, healthy physique, like all your blood markers of blood, your blood markers and everything are healthy. Having a lean, somewhat aesthetic physique that you can sustain and that you're proud of, that requires effort, is not easy, and that feels good. I think if you tick those boxes that I just mentioned, I think that is staying in shape year round. And that's not stage lean. That's not photo shoot ready. there's going to be the odd day where you're like, oh man, I look like, a bottle of water. You're going to have those days. And it's not there's going to be fluctuations, but I think, if all round week to week, you're looking solid and you're personally happy with how you look, and you feel good, that you look in the mirror and you say, I like how I look. I'm proud of the work I put in and I'm excited to keep going. Then I think that's staying in shape year round. And I think that's easy to do. I think that's possible to do for everybody. Absolutely everybody. It is not possible to stay in like crazy abs popping out the forehead. Just picturing that. It's a funny image. Yeah. And that's not possible at all. I couldn't do that. The most dedicated people I know couldn't do that. But it is definitely possible to maintain a physique that you're proud of and that looks good.
Yeah, beautiful. And before I ask a couple of questions about how you do that, I'd love you to kind of just touch on the progress, because there's no doubt that if you look at your physique year to year for over the last 10 years, long-term journey, just year to year to year, you've made really good progress. But when people think, I think that when people hear this title, it's just like, oh, just stay lean and stay in a deficit year round. I'm sure that people think because you're, in good composition and you hold decent ab detail, oh, Rob's in a deficit year round. Is that true? What would you say to that person, and how do you actually make progress then throughout the year?
Yeah, so go check out my 10-year transformation on YouTube. The first 3 to 5 years, killer progress, making a lot of things. Then after that, pound a year if I'm lucky. And then it was so bad. So I looked at my stage weight, like shredded stage weight, 7 years ago. And then I looked at the recent one. There's 3 pounds. I've gained 3 pounds. So progress is extremely slow nowadays.
Leaner now, though. You're leaner in your second one, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So that maybe like 5 pounds of muscle or more.
Yeah.
But either way, the point of the story is you're going to make most of your progress in the first couple of years. They're called noob gains, as I'm sure you know. And then progress will be very slow, or it'll just be maintaining things really.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think it's very important to, be realistic and be happy with where you're at, because there's going to be a whole lot of maintaining it. And then, so in terms of how do you maintain it, I do not stay in a deficit year round. I think you die if that happens.
Yeah, I think so.
I think
be hollow enough anyway.
You'll be hollow. Oh, you'll be hollow. So I do a lot of diet breaks. So if anyone has been dieting, usually if I'm dieting down a client, and they've been dieting for about 12 weeks, or maybe they just feel they need one, and they've gotten good progress. You want to return to maintenance for 1 to 2 weeks, and this is going to do a lot for your metabolism and, most importantly, your performance and in the gym. So you'll regain a lot of lost strength. You'll also kind of fill out a little bit because you're refilling your glycogen stores, and you'll also just increase your adherence and sustainability to the overall diet, which is just so important. Like if people they're like, I can't get results, it's just your adherence. That's because we all know what to do. You be in a deficit, you hit your protein intake, you lift weights, but it's just actually doing it. So if you can increase someone's adherence, make the plan more sustainable, take into account lifestyle factors, add in these breaks, then you're going to have a successful client. So that's something I do a lot, is diet breaks. And then I spend the majority of my time at maintenance. I don't actually do bulks anymore. I rarely go into a massive surplus on purpose for a prolonged period of time. I don't want to get much bigger. I've no ambition to gain much more muscle. I don't really care about getting stronger either. I'm pretty happy with my lifts. And it's kind of like the price I'd have to pay to I would have to gain so much weight and so much body fat that I'm uncomfortable with for a few extra pounds of muscle. I'm just not really pushed for that. So they're kind of the 3 phases, the three kind of things answered. I dip into a deficit a few times a year, spend a majority year in maintenance, and I pretty much never go into a prolonged surplus anymore. But I did when I was a teenager and when I was in my early 20s starting out.
Yeah, lovely. Well, it just shows that, I think people are worried that at maintenance, there's no way that you can make progress. But if you're, developing strength in gym, progressing your lifts, etc., keep a nice positive protein balance, there's if you're doing that year to year, like you can clearly see that you're progressing. So that's a really good case study to show that you can do that.
Exactly. And there's probably so many people listening that they think they can't do those things in a deficit as well. I've had so many people come off from a layoff period, maybe returning from injury. Maybe they're in their first 2 years of training. Perhaps they're overweight, so they have a lot of calories and energy to pull from. That's another really interesting topic.
Yeah.
So they go into a deficit, they can pretty much build muscle and strength, you know, in those cases that I mentioned. So, you know, you don't always, I think the last thing, what is it, 80% of people are overweight, like, or something. It's in America, it's like great. Wow. It's crazy high. So I think the last thing most people need is like a surplus, you know. Obviously, there's quite a few cases, but you know, most people, I'm sure most of your clients are fat loss clients.
Yeah, 100%. And like you said, a lot of them, like I use Niall as a really good example, and have him like on this this slide that I do for new clients coming on board the team, and it honestly looks like he's put on 10 kilos of muscle. And like to know that he's lost like 5-6 kilos, like it's kind of mind-boggling. Like, how'd you do that?
It's so hard to explain to people that, like, when your waist gets smaller, your shoulders look bigger, your back looks bigger. When your arms get leaner, you get the veins popping everywhere, of course. Your peak looks bigger because that all goes, you know, that's all gone there. So everything pops out way more. You get the shoulder striations going. So like in my entire prep that I just did there, I lost like 20 pounds. 20, that's a lot. And, you know, I look way bigger and far more impressive at the end of the prep. So that's one thing that people can't get their head around, is they're like, oh, you gained 10 pounds of muscle on prep. And I'm like, no, I've just lost 20 pounds straight up.
Yeah.
It's a quote by Lane Norton, actually. It's like, if you want to look like you gained 10 pounds of muscle, lose 10 pounds.
Really? Oh, nice. I've never heard that before, but it's so true, isn't it?
So true. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, nice. So that's interesting to hear that you don't go through. That's what I've always wondered. Do you go through like this kind of like aggressive push up and off season, or like a really slow and gentle one? But it's refreshing to hear that, you know, you can do that at maintenance and still progress and stuff like that as well.
You'll always make more progress now in terms
of course,
muscle if you go into surplus. But again, I'm done with that. I'm an old man now, you know. I'm happy to just maintain. And then it's a quick one as well. In terms of, you know, maintaining a physique around, my number one rule is to follow a diet you can sustain and adhere to. So that means including the foods you love. And I really encourage, this is like an easy one for people to follow, something you love every day. Just eat something. Like, it can be a 300 calorie oat bowl, it can be like a little slice of pizza. Even a ristorante is 700 calories for the whole thing.
No, don't you worry.
I've done that. There's days I eat a restaurant and I track it. You know, and a stack of pancakes, 350 calories, whatever it is. Frozen yogurt is another one I eat very regularly. There's just always, whatever your favorite food is, you can fit it in daily. And that, like, how bad your diet be if you get to eat something you love every day? So that's just like my rule, and you can't argue with that. It's like, how can you not sustain it if you just fit in that thing every day? Just figure it out. So that's my number one rule to maintain a good physique, whether you're cutting or maintaining.
Nice, love that. Yeah, couldn't agree more with the sustainability of the food and stuff like that as well. And in terms of nutrition and training and stuff like that, if you're going for, let's say, do you ever kind of cycle calories throughout the week? Let's say, for instance, that you might have, you know, a dinner out on Friday, and then also you're going to some kind of event on Saturday or something. You have 2 dinners out Friday, Saturday. Do you sometimes cycle calories? Do you try and just keep that a baseline, so 2,500 a day, or do you try pull midweek 2,000, so you know you're going to go on 3,000 a weekend? How do you kind of run your weeks?
Question, and this is something that I'm split about. Okay, so I think if you had, in an ideal world, you just keep your calories the same. I'm not into the high carb days, the low carb days, especially like some coaches try and market them as like have high carb on leg day to, for an anabolic response. I'm like, bro, those calories that you ate today, you're probably only digesting them 24 hours
Yeah,
later.
true. Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
you fucking bro scientist. Like,
Yeah.
think, have them all post workout. Oh,
800
they'll get
grams post
sucked
workout.
up into the muscle. Fucking come off it. Anyways, but so in an ideal world, I recommend just keeping your calories equal across the board.
Yep.
It's easier to track. You're not essentially yo-yo dieting, and it's easier to build up a habit and a routine. Now, if there is a big day coming up that that you're going to want to spend a lot of calorie money, then it is a good idea to bank that calorie money for the event. So let's say I've got something on Saturday, which, in the summer I often do. I will lower my carbs and fats by carbs 50 grams and fats like 20 grams 3 days prior to that event. I'll do cardio every day, make conscious effort to, go for, get some extra steps in, and then that's it. And then on the day of the event, I'll just pretty much get all my fats and carbs from the dinner. Like, let's say I'm going out for dinner.
That's delicious.
Yeah, exactly. And then, so I'll have like an egg whites for breakfast. I'll have like a protein shake for lunch, maybe a chicken salad after that. So you've just got all these fats and carbs to spend on the dinner or the event. And so it actually kind of works out perfectly. Like, you actually end up hitting your macros perfectly
for the week.
So that's how I do it, and that's how I tell my clients to do it and visualize it in your head. So think of it's calorie money, it's macro money, and that protein, carbs, and fats are 3 different currencies.
Yeah.
And you're trying to balance them all out to spend them properly come Saturday.
Yeah, and I like the way that you said that. Like, that's good, all good, well and good for some that you're not doing that every single week,
No. I think if you're doing that every single, you can do, but I think it's just, you're so much chopping and changing. Like, you're pretty much following like a different diet every day, which is again very, very difficult to do.
It's dangerous as well.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you can get disordered eating, and like I also say to my clients as well, like, there's 2 things I say, like, look, if you want to go out and smash 6 pints or more, being Irish, if you want to smash 8 pints on the weekend, I'm going to and you will also want results, I'm going to have to stick you on the 1,800 calorie hollow diet, because your overall weekly is like thousands. So you'll be on the disgrace hollow diet. I'm like, it's up to you. I can't give you both. I can't put you on like a nice sustainable meal plan. If you want to have like 10 pints, fucking 4 espresso martinis, a big pizza at the end of the night. If you want to do that on Saturday, you're just getting the shittest plan ever because I've no choice. Do you know what I mean? Or just get no results. And then why are you paying me?
Yeah.
So it's like, sometimes you just gotta be real with your clients, or if anyone's listening to this and just getting free advice, free game right now. You can either make things really hard for yourself during the week, if you really want to have, a little bit of fun on the weekend. You can obviously have balance and moderation, but you're just making things harder for yourself if you're doing that every single week.
Yeah, 100%. And like you said,
real talk for you.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And that's very, very important information there as well. That like you also, like you said, feed into that binge restrict cycle. You're telling yourself you're restricting during the week. Hunger is high. You probably even try to stick to 3,000. You end up doing 5,000, and you're back then the week, and you're just feeling shit about yourself. And then also, like, from a training performance standpoint, then during the week you're having such little food and you're restricting. Your performance is crap, and then you get to the weekend, you overeat, and it's just this kind of almost vicious cycle. Too much every now and again, though. Like I'll probably do that a little bit this week, and maybe going next week because I'm going away. But it's okay to do it in moderation, by the sense, is what you're saying. Yeah,
and it's complete Irish culture as well. Like, let's be completely honest. Like, in Dublin, not much when the weather ain't great, or when the weather is great. Everyone loves drinking, in the summer. Everyone loves going hard at it. So, it's tough, but it's just how it is.
Yeah, I think you made a good point there as well. I'm quite a big advocate of setting up your day to allow for more calories in the evening, rather than like you said, having 1,500 calories during the week and 5,000 the weekend. You talked about like having those, what's your kind of, you said like the egg white omelets, the chicken salads, the protein shakes. Do you like doing that if you feel that you're going out for a meal?
Yeah, so what you touched on about the morning. So I'm actually, I'd say 3 or 4 days in a week, I do intermittent fasting.
Yeah, nice.
So just like a can of white Monster, with some 0-calorie drinks, black coffee in the morning. I'll work out at like 10 or 11, and then post workout is when I'll break my fast when I'm really hungry, like really enjoyable. Like I absolutely love the food. Tastes better. Like I absolutely love it. Or on days when I do wake up and I'm that little bit hungrier. So this is, I think it's called carb backloading, if you want to give it a fancy name. I'll just have like egg whites and ham and low-fat cheese in the morning, which is just pure protein. That is just a meal of protein. There's like 2 carbs, nothing. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm on like 300 grams of carbs a day, 50 grams of fat, 200 protein, that'd be a pretty standard intake for me. That's a lot of room to play with in the evening. So another thing that I'll have in the morning is like, a shake with skim milk, just getting that hit of protein. And you can actually argue that's a more optimal, I hate the word, more optimal approach, because you're getting at least 3 protein feedings throughout the day. So that's one thing that I did very much at the end of prep, that when I'm looking for that 1% difference, that I did, I stopped doing intermittent fasting, because especially when you're extremely lean, you're more likely to lose muscle, even though I still am a big proponent of IF. But yeah, so they're the kind of 2 rules I follow at breakfast time in the morning. And I think so many Irish people can do with that, because we are led to believe the Irish mammy gives us the full Irish breakfast and fuels us up for the day ahead. And, it's the most important meal of the day. And it's just fucking up so many people's nutrition. It's like, imagine you're on a budget, you're trying not to spend, and it's the first day of the month, and you've got a monthly budget, you just spend it all in the day. You're fucked. Like, you're not, this month is gonna suck. So it's just the same as like if you just completely mess up your nutrition at the start of the day and blow it all out with a massive breakfast. Like, and another thing that people don't understand is that like people think that like you're and I used to think this as well, especially when I was a young lad, like trying to get big, that if you're fasted, that there's like, you can't train, or that there's nothing in your system. You're still digesting nutrients from like 5 days ago. like literally, especially like if there's certain foods like, like steak or broccoli, corn, high fiber foods, high protein foods, they take so long to digest. So people think that like they'll have their last meal at like 9 or 10. They think they'll need to wait. They'll eat the moment they wake up again. And it's like, you've still got plenty of food in your system.
And then you end up going over your calories because you're so hungry because you ate too early.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think a lot of people could do with pushing their first meal back and getting out of that, getting out of the breakfast mindset. Breakfast is a scam.
Yeah. I do love a good breakfast out though, to be fair. Every now and then.
Yeah, I do love a good breakfast. No, but like obviously the takeaway point is just your total daily intake is what really matters. But it might not be a good idea for you to blow out your total daily intake the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning.
100%. And cardio step count targets as well. You said keeping that kind of 10 to 12K steps across the year. Would you keep that year round? Would it titrate up, drop down? And do you keep cardio in across the year as well?
Yes. So not like the 5 sessions in per week. I think that's like just fucking overkill. But I think 30 minutes post-workout sessions like this, I'll actually just like do all my replies and voice notes to clients and people in general, and the 30 minutes evaporates. Like, you're like, I might need a few more. And then I think the real impactful one is the step count. I think that's really, the cardio is more so just, again, for a little fitness, a little bit of routine. I think the really impactful one is the daily step count. And that just adds up so much over the course of the month. And so it's amazing just to walk outside for your mental health. That's probably one of the biggest benefits. But just that NEAT adds up just into incredible amounts over the course of the month. It doesn't affect your recovery. You don't feel it. It's not stressful. Virtually anyone can do it, no matter how advanced you are or if you're a complete beginner. So that's one thing I'm a big proponent is getting a decent step count in per day. And people, this is a funny one. People complain that there's no science to say it's 10K steps per day, or what about 9,999? It's like, we got to pick something, okay? Just say 10K. It's easy. It's like the 1 gram per pound of body weight thing. It's like, we got to choose something. We got to begin somewhere. So anyone listen, that's where 10K steps come from. It's easy to say.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I completely agree, man. And just inevitably, like, I'm a big foodie as well. And I know that most people on the planet are going to be big foodie. It just allows for more total intake. You getting 5K steps compared to 10. If we do 50 calories per 1,000 steps, I'd rather do 250 calories more by having 10K steps than having 5K steps and having 250 calories less, for sure. Would you?
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's funny what you said about foodie. I think if you go to the gym like regularly, I think you appreciate food more. Like, if the biggest foodies I've ever met are like lifters, like,
true.
A good meal. Yeah,
100%. And then finally, last 2 things are going to be training. So do you fluctuate your training around trying to keep yourself in different zones? So around your diet, I think you touched on this earlier, but around your dieting, around your maintenance, around your cleanup phases, any kind of changes with that at all, or does that just keep standardized throughout the year usually?
Yeah, so that's one thing I recommend staying consistent as possible.
Agreed,
and a client just mentioned, he asked me last night, he was like, hey, can we like change our training program? And I'm like, sure, like we can do it for the crack. But I'm like, there's no need to. I'm like, you're progressing on squats where you just said a PR last week. I'm like, do you want to throw in leg press for the fucking laugh? Like, couldn't agree more. That's another thing. It's like, so I recommend everyone log your weights, either on the Game Plan app, which has a built-in tracker. Shameless.
There we go.
Do it old school in your notes in your phone or in a diary. Either way, progressive overload is how you build muscle, and increasing the total amount of volume you lift in the gym. The most efficient way to do that is by increasing the weight you're lifting, or else you're going to end up doing 100 sets of 10 to hit your workload. So you got to increase the weight you're lifting in the gym. If you are changing your exercise selection every 2 weeks, how do you know if you're making any progress at all? Because a squat and a leg press, they're the same pushing movement, you're pushing your legs, but they're just completely different in terms of the weight. Like, there's some leg presses that are so easy to do. Like, I can do like 1,000 pounds on them, and I'm like, I can't squat that much, so if you don't like, say, even like switching like brand of machine is quite, shows a lot of inconsistency. So I recommend having your core lifts. So and keeping them as consistent as possible. If you want to change up your isolation movements just for entertainment and motivation, by all means do it. But I would recommend really sticking to the compound movements that you enjoy and that you can track year round. So that is my number 1 training principle. Now, number 2 is follow a split and a program that allows you to hit every muscle group twice per week. Now, no one needs to, or barely any people are going to go to the gym 6 days per week, because you're not fucking a loser with no life like me. So most people have, they have like wife, kids, they've, hectic jobs, and, they can get killer results going to the gym 4 times per week. So I would say to them, follow an upper, lower split. Okay. Maybe you want to go to gym 5 days a week. I would say do legs, push, pull, upper, lower. So then again, hitting everything twice per week. If you want to really be a nut job like myself, do legs, push, pull, legs, push, pull. And then a lot of people, they overlook 3 days a week. Still brilliant if you can make it to the gym 3 days per week. But that's when it gets tricky. They're like, do I follow legs, push, pull? And then it's like a week before I hit any other body part. No, we do a full body split 3 times per week. But I have a different emphasis on each day. So on So I have full body A, full body B, full body C. And these are all, the programs I usually recommend, all the programs in the app. So full body A, we'll start with squats. Full body B, we'll start with pushing movement like bench. And full body C, we'll start with a pulling movement like, for example, deadlifts. But they're still all full body workouts, but they just begin with something differently because you're strongest at the start of your workout. So they're different. They're called, on my program, they're called emphasis A, emphasis B, emphasis C. And so that's my training philosophy pretty much summed up. There are the things I recommend following. You do that, you're pretty set. You're good to go. And so when I am going through, maybe I'm having just a crazy month, maybe I'm on holidays, I'll do either the full body program on game plan, or I'll do the upper lower 4-day. So I'll look at my schedule and see what am I realistically going to stick to, because it's just like your diet. You got to follow something you can sustain. Like, what's the point in me setting out my 6-day training plan and then like going to the gym like 2 or 3 times and just not following it? It's kind of like me like putting Ronnie Coleman's diet on the fridge door and just like not following it, it's useless. So I think being realistic with yourself, with your training is as important as your diet.
100%. And something important there as well is changing your plan and the skill acquisition. Like I've been running, let's say, an RDL. I'm sure you train bloody hard as well. Like you to change into a pattern again, like the skill acquisition that's required for you to learn that. Like if you have an RDL or deadlift, I've been doing it for like eight weeks or so. I think we just rotated in from deadlifts, and I'm still not 100%. I'm still getting used to it. And
dude,
then
lunges.
Say again?
Lunges.
Yeah, just like
I can't do them.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I will fall over. I will lose balance.
Yeah.
I've been in the gym 10 years. I love that. I'm going to steal that from you. I've never even thought of that point, is that you've completely retrain yourself.
Yeah. It takes time to do it. And if you see these kind of 6-week training plans, change plan after 6 weeks. If I did a plan for 6 weeks and then you change all my exercises, I've only just gotten half decent at learning how to do that pattern again, and then the skill acquisition of that again.
You're going to see me put up a reel now.
Go for it. You can have this one, man. You can have this one. I want the hollow training plan though.
Yeah.
You can have that one.
The disgraceful one.
Yeah. You can have that one.
Yeah.
But it's so important.
I love that.
Yeah, but like you said, the only time like to really do it is if you're bored as hell or you're not enjoying it or the movement is stale, then rotate it. But until then, I've had movements in my plan with AJ for like 3 years or something.
Oh yeah,
because they're just always progressing. I still love them.
Yeah,
cuff lateral or something.
Actually, like I recommend if you are bored or you want a bit of motivation, just change the exercises at the end of your workout. The fluff stuff. Keep the bread and butter the same. Like if there's a new machine in the gym, wouldn't mind to go on that. Yeah,
that's all right. Yeah, I agree as well.
It's not gonna make a difference.
Yeah, my arm work and stuff will just change, kind of depends on how I feel on that day.
Yeah, same, exactly. Yeah. I'm like they're not getting bigger, and they haven't grown an inch in 7 years, so they
don't need to, man. They look good already. They're big enough. They're big enough.
Yeah.
And the other one is going to be abs. So you obviously have a really well developed midsection, and just a really well developed midsection already. What's the ab work that you do during the year? Does that change again? Do you do more when you're dieting, less when you're dieting? Or what's the kind of the overall arching? And give us your 2 favorite ab exercises that you like.
Yeah, so I think people kind of they will go a little bit too far on the ab work doesn't matter and abs are made in the kitchen. Of course, we know that. Okay, we know to see your abdominal muscles, you got to have a low body fat percentage. But I've dieted down. First of all, I think it's healthy to do core work for your posture. It'll help with other lifts. It's just you should train every body part that you have. You don't skip leg day. Why would you skip cores? So your abs. So I recommend to train your abs. You don't have to go overboard. Stuff I like weighted movements, such as weighted decline crunches. So I'll hold a plate and I'll just try touch the roof, aim towards the roof. Another one I like to do is cable crunches. Again, these are both things you can progress on. So they're probably my two favorite. Then at the end, I'll throw in some hanging leg raises, just, kind of burn out with that. But that's my ab routine right there. Obviously it comes down to diet, but I'll do that twice a week, 3 sets of 20 on each one. So, total sets is what, like 9 sets, twice per week. And that's it. That's as complicated as it gets. It will mainly come down to body fat percentage. But I do think if you want a more developed midsection, you want to make it pop, you want to have a stronger core as well, then I think you should train your abs. And now here's a bit of anecdotal evidence. I've dieted down and kind of neglected my ab training a little bit. And then I've dialed down to the exact same body fat percentage, and I've been really dedicated with my ab training. And I actually think there's a huge difference. I actually found a massive difference. So that's entirely anecdotal evidence. Do what you will with that.
Yes.
So I'm a proponent of ab training. Nothing crazy, just 3 exercises that you like to do, ideally weighted.
Yeah, 100%. So that's a decent amount of volume that you're doing per week, showing that you need to be training with specific, not throwing two sets of like cable crunching at the end of your workout once every 2 weeks, and that's not going to cut it. No. There's a nice phrase. I know you said that it's shown in the, like, abs are made in the gym but then shown in the kitchen. So it's like we need to be training hard progressively, and none of that just fluff work. I see people on their phone doing that, like crunch, just watching a football game, like, come on,
like this.
They're not just like they're not a magic muscle group that don't need any intensity or progression. They're just like your biceps, just like your delts. You need to be training them hard. And I can see the way you train them is always going to be like that. There's no doubt that with the volume, like that kind of 15 to 18 sets per week, which is actually probably a little bit lower than what I'm doing. So I need to up my ab volume per week. That's a really good take home point as well.
Appreciate it.
Final one is going to be just any take-home piece of advice for the listener, any advice that you'd also tell your former self. So probably you can combine those two together. What would you tell your former self in your first 1 to 3 years of lifting and training?
I would say it's going to be the best decision you'll ever make in your life, and it's kind of like getting braces. Okay, it sucks.
Okay,
it sucks at the time. You don't want to do it. You don't want to go to a dentist and get them on, but after a few years, you're going to be like, I am so glad I did that. Okay. You're investing in your future, and there's the amount of benefits that you will get from it are just profound. It will fall. It's the most highest ROI activity that I can think of.
True.
And that it's the only thing, placing your health and fitness first, going to the gym and improving your diet, being mindful of what you eat, just the whole training, nutrition, lifestyle. It's the only thing I can think of that affects everything in your life. Everything. It's the only thing I can think of. And that's why I'm working this industry. That's why I'm so passionate. And that's why I've been here for a decade now. They're like, Rob is still making those videos. He's still doing his podcast. I'm like, hell yeah, motherfucker. This is the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah.
So I really believe it. I don't even believe it. We've got research to show it. And that, also, I've been talking to a lot of ultra successful people recently now that I've started a podcast myself. Just people, just being no fitness guests on it. Like, they're all just like, there's one guy I had on last time. He's worth over 100 million. That episode's going up soon. And he was like, it's all just about health and fitness. He's like, if I don't have that, I just don't get up and go to work every day. So I don't know if that just doesn't say everything. Well, then I don't know. So the best decision you'll ever make, get your ass in the gym and let's go.
Yeah. Nice. I think that's a great end to a fantastic podcast. Just want to say a massive thank you for coming on and for the episode as well. I really appreciate you taking the time, and good catching up as well properly. I know we've been chatting a good bit over Instagram, but it's good always to chat face to face as well.
No, it's brilliant. It's so good to connect after all these years, and keep killing it. Super proud of you, man.
Cheers, man. Really, really appreciate it. Well, thank you so much. Have a great day, buddy.
Likewise.